Hello guys and girls, welcome to the Be More podcast. This is Jack Williams and we are back with another episode. I am sat here on a Saturday morning with a cup of tea and I'm going to just dump some of my thoughts into this podcast. I don't really have a plan. I've just been to the gym, sat in the steam room and I thought I haven't done a podcast in about 10 days. I'm going to jump in and do one. I'm going to add some value and I was actually sat there thinking, I was in there nice and early this morning, having a steam room, it was empty. And I was thinking to myself, like, how I used to spend my weekends and how different my life is now, like how different my weekends are to how they used to be. So to try and paint a picture for you, like from when I was little, I guess, my weekends would just be, for me, escaping my week that I didn't really enjoy. Like I didn't hate school, but I didn't like school. I didn't like learning in that way. And yeah, I'm quite an introverted person, so I like to spend time by myself. So for me, being around people all the time was really tiring for me. And then learning in that way, just being sat in a room and learning, that never really worked for me. I learn more by doing. And I think everybody does as well. The best learning is by doing something. And by failing normally, whereas in school we're taught not to fail, we're taught all this rubbish, right? There are obviously some great things you learn. There's no disrespect to anyone who's a teacher. There are some amazing teachers, right? But yeah, that's just where I was. And then I left school. I went to college, did the same. Went to uni, did the same. And would spend most of my weekends escaping reality. And so I'd basically I'd wake up on a Saturday, I don't even know what time, whenever. I didn't have a plan for my day. I would wake up, I'd probably call my mates, be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, oh, we're going to go to the bookies, we'll put a bet on. This was before you could gamble easily online. So we'd go to the bookies, we'd put an accumulator on or whatever. And then I'd normally be playing football on a Saturday, and normally be playing with a bit of a hangover from the Friday night. And then after the football, win or lose, out on the beers. And I would spend all my money that I earned that week, on that night, doing stupid things, and then wake up on a Sunday morning, not remembering really much about what happened, dreading looking at my bank account, seeing how much I spent, and just feeling rubbish, like worse than rubbish, feeling depressed when I woke up in the morning and wondering why. But obviously when you stick loads of alcohol in your system and all sorts of other things, you're not going to feel good, right? So I basically did that until I was about 24, 25. So years and years and years of this weekend mentality, not getting anything done, not productive at all, having fun. And I do look back and I had some incredible times with my friends, really good times. So this isn't like a completely against all my whatever I've done. I don't have any regrets. I enjoyed it and I've got some of the best mates in the world that are still my best mates today. But I look back and I think how my life is so different now. And this is a real good time of year, by the way. 2021 is about to come to an end. Hopefully you're listening to this podcast before it does, because it gives you a chance to go into a new year and not take things with you that aren't serving you. And that was something for me, like for me, that mentality and that culture and that drinking habit wasn't serving me. And unfortunately, it come to something really bad to happen in my life for me to basically to take a step back and go, do you know what, maybe this isn't really the right thing. Cut a long story short, I was at one of my best friend's weddings. I was being an idiot. So was a lot of other people, because of the intoxication of alcohol, and it ended up in a scuffle, and it cost me about $3,500 in dentist bills because of what happened. And I was like, that would never have happened. I'm not that type of person at all if it wasn't drunk, basically. So from there, we woke up the next day, me and Robin, and we looked at each other and was like, this has got to change. And I actually this is really good advice, by the way, get around better people. I went to an event that next day. It was my second event in Herbalife. So I was just starting and flirting with this company, really. Maybe trying to make a bit of money on the side alongside what I was doing. Didn't really know if I could do it or not, but I was invited to go to this event. And if I say I'm doing something, I do it. Like if I say I'm going to show up something, I always show up. And I wasn't really good fit state to go. I had a massive fat lip. My tooth was like hanging out, and I was hanging out my ass, and I didn't feel good at all about myself, about my life, about what had happened. But I said to people that I was going to go to this event, so I went anyway. So I went, rocked up, fat old lip. I wasn't even going to talk about this today, but it's just funny how I go off on tangents. But walked in, and the guy who basically who's my mentor come up to me and he said, "What happened?" And he was just so, I could tell he really cared about me. And he was just like, that I've gone through some of the similar things with alcohol, and this is something I'd recommend. And he basically gifted me a book. And the book, doesn't even matter what the book is, by the way, but the book was called Kick the Drink Easily. I can't remember who it was by, but I decided to read it, and I've not actually drunk alcohol ever since. This was like 4 years ago now, and my life now is so much better because I don't do that. I'm not saying that I'll never ever drink again. I'm just saying at the time in my life it wasn't serving me, so I had to come away from it. And by eliminating that thing from my life has changed so much, so much. And I've seen joy, happiness, and things I didn't really see before, because I didn't make space for them in my life because I was too busy getting drunk and too busy going out with doing the same old stuff all the time. And my friends, thankfully, who are a little bit older than me, most of them were getting to the point where they were having kids and stuff, so they weren't in that weekend mentality as much anymore. So they stopped doing it, they stopped going out as much anyway. So for me, it was all perfect storm, perfect timing to go, do you know what, I'm going to stop drinking for a bit. Still go out occasionally, still go on stag do's, etc., just don't drink. Which at first was difficult, but the book taught me so much to be able to overcome these challenges, because it can be a challenge, and I can do a whole different podcast on that. But it wasn't really what I wanted to talk about, but it was more how I would spend my weekends. And over the years, like, I dread to think how much I spent on alcohol, gambling. Like, I'm talking easily 6 figures, maybe even more than that, multiple 6 figures, on just stupid bets that were just, it was me escaping. I didn't want to be in my own head, so I would go and put a load of money on a game of football that I could sit and watch and escape for 2 hours in the thought of, am I going to win? And it's, looking back, it makes me really feel for anyone who's in that place, because I was in a dark place. And there's a few things that really changed the game for me that I want to share in this podcast, because I don't want this just to be about, look at what I used to do and look at what I do now, because that's not what it's about. What it's about is the things that I did that helped me to shape a different future, and helped me to shape a different attitude and mindset towards how I live my life, and how anyone can do this. So I've been doing this for a long time, like that weekend mentality. So I was working hard in my job as a trainer in a gym, so I would earn good money, but I would spend all that money because I didn't appreciate myself. I would earn, let's say, £1,000 a week training lots of people, and then spend £1,000 a week because I didn't value myself enough to keep or to use the money wisely. I would buy expensive cars on a monthly payment. I'd live in an expensive penthouse apartment because I wanted to look cool to other people. But in reality is, I didn't feel good in myself. I bought expensive clothes. I did all these stupid things because I didn't value myself enough to invest in my own learning, to invest in my financial understanding. Like, I just had no idea what I was doing. So I was bringing in good money, wasting it all, and nothing to show for it after years and years and years of really working my arse off. And then there's a few things that I did, and it just changed everything. So first of all, I stopped doing that as much. And I made the decision that I'm going to go and get away for a bit. So I was with a different partner at this time, and I said to her, look, I want to go and travel. I want to see the world. I want to do as long as we can, let's save up some money and let's go away. So we did. We stopped wasting all the money we were spending at the time, and we saved up enough money to go and travel for 3 months. I said to all my PT clients, I'm going away. I'm just going to go and travel. And I said, I'll be back soon. I was like, I really want to see the world. But the reality is I really wanted to escape. I really wanted to escape the life that I was living. And that was the main reason why I went. And yeah, it's quite emotional talking about it, going back now, really, because I just was so unhappy in what I was doing. And I know there's so many people out there right now who are in the same spot. Most people are dissatisfied in what they're doing. There's no shortage of people that have gone to university or spent a lot of money on studying, so they're not even to find that career isn't even something that they want to pursue, or they get into a job in that industry and they find they don't like it. Like, there's so many things around nowadays, and these are just some things that I did that have made the massive shift in my life. So we went traveling, and there was some real moving things on that trip. Like, I discovered different cultures. I met people. Like, I remember I was told a lot of people through this story before. I think I mentioned it on the podcast before, but we was on a train in Kuala Lumpur, and I basically said to this guy, in fact, no, it started by he heard me speaking, and he said, "Oh, you're English. Can I have a photo with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can have a photo with me." Anyway, I started chatting to this young lad, and he was probably 19, 20. I was like, "So what do you do, mate?" And he was telling me basically what he does. He said, so I basically provide for my family. I work 12 hours a day, and then I study in my spare time. I was like, "Mate, you can't have much spare time left." He goes, yeah, I find 4 hours a day, and then I'm looking after my family the rest of the day. I was like, "How long do you sleep?" He was like, "Maybe 3 hours if I can, and then I go again the next day." I was like, "How many days a week do you do this?" And he was like, "I do this 7 days a week." And he learnt my name. He said, "I do this 7 days a week, Jack." And I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Do you like it?" He goes, "It's all I know. I love it." And honestly, this guy was so happy. And I said to him, "How much does it cost to live here? How much do you earn?" He says, I'll earn about $4 or $5 a day. I was like, $4 or $5 a day to work 12 hours? He was like, "Yes, sir. And that provides for me and my family." And I remember I was just sat there thinking, this guy is so happy. He's so content. And it doesn't bother him that, like, whereas we live in a culture here where everything seems to revolve around like income and all these different things and the rat race. This guy was just so, he just basically shifted my mindset so much. And I thought, wow, I want to go and learn more from different people and different cultures. So I just made it an intention to go and meet lots of people on this trip, other expats, other people that were traveling, people that were obviously natives in these countries. I went to Asia, I went to Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, like all over, Singapore, and just liked seeing how different people lived. And I came back with just a different mentality. I was like, nah, there's more to life than the way I'm living it. Life is very short. And I want to choose how I live it. I'm here once, as far as I'm aware. I'm not going to keep living it this way, and I can just decide to change it. I've done it for the last 3 months because we went away for 3 months. I've done what I want every day. It's been great. I'm going to go and design my own life, and I don't care what anyone has to say about it, because I'm here once. It's my life, right? And I didn't want to go back to doing what I was doing before. I fell back into it because I didn't really have in my mind another way, but I was thinking all the time, what's next for me? What next for me? And I decided I was going to get around great people who could help me. I wanted to find someone who could teach me how to do something different. And this is why I love network marketing. It's why I'm so grateful for the opportunity I have with Herbalife, is because I met someone who was financially and time free, making 300 odd grand a year and working whenever he chose to, from his phone, around his kids, around his family, traveling the world. And I was like, teach me how to do this. And I thought it was going to cost me hundreds of thousands to learn. It was nothing. It was free. All I had to do was exchange my work ethic, my willingness, my coachability, my hunger and my desire for his time. And he was willing to teach me everything that I know now to this day to be able to duplicate the same results. And it was free. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Whereas everything else I saw online was like these massive life coaches and stuff who were trying to charge 10,000 for a year or whatever. And you'll never even meet this person. And just, yeah, I won't go into that. That's a completely different rant. Whereas in this profession, you get taught and shown by people who've done the work, who have achieved the success, not by someone who talks about it and shows it on social media, but in reality, they haven't done it themselves. Or they may have done it once 10 years ago, but they're not even successful now. So, yeah, I've basically bounced around on a few tangents here. But the few things that I want to really to hone in on as the points that I want you to understand from this podcast is get out of where your current life for a little period of time. Obviously, we're living in challenging times right now where travel and stuff is hard, but it's possible. There are ways. I know people that are still traveling the world right now. If you spend your time around people that tell you can't, then obviously you can't, but they're the people you've got to get away from. So there are ways that is possible. There are just challenges put in the way, but that's what it's all about. The obstacle is the way. There are always going to be challenges. There are just more now at the moment, but I would just say always, whatever the masses are doing, do the opposite. So go and get around a different culture, a different environment. As a friend of mine who I know listens to this podcast before actually influenced him to go to Fiji, and it changed his perspective massively. And in fact, I would need to remind him to go and do something like that again, to remind himself of how much more there is to life than the way we choose to live it here, and to come back with a complete, fresh, different perspective. And that's why I love to travel. It's why I love to see different cultures. And that's the first point. And the second point is get around better people. And I say that and I pause. Go and get around people that have the habits that you want. Go and get around people that live the life that you want to live. Now, I know there's people saying, oh, this is difficult, it's not possible. Look, find a way. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But if you keep hanging around a bunch of dickheads, you will become a dickhead, right? It's just the way it is. You become the average. Sorry about my French, but if you hang around losers, you will be a loser. If you hang around a load of people who are broke, you will be broke. If you hang around people that are fat and overweight, you'll be fat and overweight. If you hang around people that are in shape and excited about life and have got great discipline, you will have that too. If you hang around people that move mountains to get what they want, you'll move mountains to get what you want. If you hang around people that believe anything is possible, you will believe anything is possible. Whereas you hang around people that get stoned every day, you're getting stoned every day. Just get around better people that have the habits, have the life, have the things that you want. And by the way, you can take pieces from different people, but go and get yourself around a culture, around a community, around people that are going in the direction that you want to go in. Find communities that are complete where you want to go. And there's a book that I read. It's one of the best books. I read it every year. It's called Atomic Habits. And he speaks about this massively. He goes, change your environment. Your habits are a reflection of often what people around you are doing as well. So change your environment and look, find a way. If you want it bad enough, you will find a way to do it. And this was where I got to. I went away not just once traveling, but twice. The second time, I'd broken up with that girlfriend. More or less the day we got back from that traveling trip. Mental. Shows how that went. But I went away on the next time on my own. And I'm grateful for that person, by the way, because I wouldn't have done it before on my own. I was too scared. But my advice to anyone would be go do it on your own, because it's better on your own. But that person showed me that I can do it on my own, because we spent a few days apart on that trip. And I saw that I enjoyed that a lot more. Enjoyed my own solitude, peace, freedom. And like I said, I've become so self-aware to know that I'm so introverted, like I like my own space. So second trip, I went to Australia on my own, with the view to go and live out there. I saw when I was there, first of all, that they had a great, a different type of vibe around like the culture towards exercise, wellness, well-being. I liked it a lot. Still like it a lot now. And like I'd get up in the morning early when I was there, and I'd go for a run down the beach, and there'd be people there exercising and stuff. And I was like, wow, I really like this. This is a bit more like me. So I thought, all the time I was still PTing, I didn't see anything more for me in my life. I thought I'll go and PT out there instead rather than do it here. At least it's sunny there, and these people view exercise a bit differently. So that was my plan, and I went out there. This was just before I met Robin, just before I found Herbalife. And I went out there for a month, and I stayed with some friends that I made friends with the trip before traveling. This is what I mean by I intentionally went and made friends because I knew they would be friends for life. And they said, look, come and stay with us. And so I did. I stayed in touch with them. Then I went and stayed with them. And I'm so grateful for those guys. Probably they'll be listening to this podcast. Absolute legends. And they're still living there now, living their best life. And they are from the UK originally. So, but they're out there having a great time. And I went and stayed with them for a month. And one of my friends, he took me to this little cave almost that overlooked Sydney, just the sea. And he said, sit here when I'm at work tomorrow and you might be able to see like whales jumping in the background and stuff. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, in the distance, just sit peacefully. He said, I come here sometimes and I just like to be still and meditate and just watch the waves, and it's so great for my mind. And he knew I was struggling with some things at the time. So I basically went back to this cave the next day when he was at work, and I sat there on my own for probably about an hour, maybe a bit longer. I had a book with me. I was reading The Alchemist at the time. It's a great book. I'd really recommend it to anyone. And I read the book for a little bit, and then I just sat there. And my legs were hanging over the edge. And I sat there for so long, looking into the distance, thinking, how do I want to live my life? How do I really want to live my life? And am I living it right now how I want to? I'm going to go back home in 2 weeks. It was like 2 weeks away. What things am I going to change about when I go back? I'm like, Jack, you are not a tree. You can do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want. You don't have to stay the same and be the same as everyone else or as you are if you don't like the way you are. So I just sat there and had a real long conversation with myself. And I often do this still to this day. And I talk to myself about what's working, what's not working, what do I want to change, how do I want to evolve, how do I want to reinvent myself. And I've got better at it in time, but this was one of the first times I ever really did it. And it's quite sad to think this. I was 25, and it was the first time I'd ever sat and had a conversation with myself about, am I living my life the way I want to live it? Whereas that should be a conversation that we have with ourselves all the time, so we can change our trajectory, change our direction. You can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction, where you're going. You can change your habits. You can change what you do. You can change how you think. You can change who you get around. You can change the decisions you make based on who you want to become. So, and I was looking out into the distance in the sea, and I saw these boats in the distance, miles away. I didn't see any whales, annoyingly. I wanted to see whales. But I didn't see any of this on this time. But I saw these boats, and I saw how the two boats were going slightly different ways. They were both kind of facing a similar way, but they were obviously kind of going different ways. And I just watched them for about 20 minutes, and I could see them still in the distance. They were quite close at the start. After 20 minutes, they were so far apart, it was insane. And I thought, there's a reason I've just seen that. That is the way I could go if I carry on with my current habits, boat 1. Boat 2 is going a slightly different direction and achieving a completely different outcome, a completely different destination, a completely different result. Which one do I want to choose? What way do I want to go? And I just came back with a mentality of, I'm going to work on myself every single day to create different results in my life, to create a different outcome in my life, because I can, and so can you. If you're constantly telling yourself, I'm struggling, I can't pay my bills, I'm around bad people, stop it. Focus on I am strong, I am going to get better, I can change my life, I can get around good people, I can become financially independent, I can provide for my family, I can be a great example, I can be a great dad, I can be a great husband, I can and I am and I will. Whereas too many people spend their time and their self-talk on all the negative shit. Stop it. Focus on what you are going to do, what you are about, and how strong you are and who you can become. And even if you aren't there right now, you're going to get there, right? Because you're going to set your sail up that leads you in that direction. So, guys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed that. Please do share feedback with me. I want to try and set these podcasts up in a way where my goal is just to add value, help people transform their lives, because this is what I've been able to do from listening to different podcasts, from reading books, listening to different people that have had the transformational opportunity to think differently. So I copied, and you can too. You can think differently. You can create the most insane 12 months in 2022, and it all starts now. By the way you start to think, the way you start to talk to yourself, the goals you start to set, the vision you set for your future, it can all change. You are not a tree. You can move. You can create whatever you want. So I hope this finds you well. Have a great weekend if you're listening to this on when I've released it. If not, have a great day wherever you are. Please share this on your Instagram stories if you got value from it, and tag me in it. Maybe send me a message with any feedback that you have. I'd really appreciate it. If you can leave a review, by the way, on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, it would mean the world to me. And yes, if you want to join our Be More Telegram channel, I will stick the link in the description. And in there, basically, I'm sharing some of the books that I'm reading, whenever I've launched a podcast. And maybe in the new year, I might open up like occasional Zoom calls and just answer questions to whoever wants to jump on. So yeah, if you want to join, and I will, see you in that Telegram channel. If not, I will see you in the next episode, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.